3 weeks ago, my girlfriend Natalie, 27, sent me a text that detonated our entire relationship. I'm 29 male, and we'd been together for 5 years, sharing what she thought was a rental house for the last 3. It was an ordinary Tuesday at work when my phone buzzed. The message read, "Connor, I need space to find myself. This isn't about you. It's about me discovering who I am outside this relationship. I'll be staying with Brianna for a while. Please don't reach out." 5 years. Half a decade of my life with her. And she ended it with a text message. Not even the decency of a face-to-face conversation or a phone call. Just a couple of lines that dropped like a bomb. But here's the thing, Natalie didn't know the full story. The house we had been living in wasn't a rental at all. I bought it 4 years ago when my grandmother passed away, and left me enough for a down payment. I never told her because early on, she'd made comments about how she couldn't be with someone who flaunted money, and how she valued authenticity over wealth. So I played it low-key, told her it was a rental through a family friend, and she believed it. Every month she handed me $600 for her half of the rent, and I put it directly toward the mortgage. When her text came, I sat in my car for an hour just absorbing it. Then I drove home and saw exactly what I expected. Her closet stripped bare, her bathroom shelf empty. Even the coffee maker she bought last Christmas gone. The only thing she left behind was her key on the kitchen counter, like some sort of parting gift. I texted back one line. "Take all the space you need." Then I did what felt logical. I called Trevor, my buddy who works in real estate. I'd already been thinking about selling the house anyway since the neighborhood had skyrocketed in value. Trevor came by that evening, we crunched the numbers, and it turned out I could walk away with about $140,000 profit even after taxes and fees. "How soon can we list?" I asked him. "Market's hot," he said. "Could have offers in days. But don't you need to give your girlfriend notice?" "She moved out today," I told him. We listed it that Thursday. Meanwhile, Natalie was on Instagram writing long captions about her brave decision to prioritize self-discovery, alongside sunset selfies and quotes about growth. Her friends were hyping her up with comments like, "So proud of you, Queen," while I was scheduling viewings for the house. By Sunday, I had 4 offers. I accepted one that came in $15,000 over asking. Closing date, 30 days out. I found myself a decent 1-bedroom closer to work, put down a deposit, and started packing. That's when I got a text from Brianna, her best friend. The same Brianna she'd gone to live with. "Hey Connor, Nat wanted me to ask if you guys already paid next month's rent. She needs to budget." I replied, "The house situation is handled. She doesn't need to worry about it." 20 minutes later, my phone lit up like a firecracker. Natalie called. I ignored it. Then Brianna called. Ignored again. Then came the barrage of texts. "What do you mean the house situation is handled? Connor, please answer." I know I said no contact, but this is important. This is logistics. Eventually, I replied. "You asked for space and no contact. I'm respecting that. The house situation doesn't involve you anymore." She called me 14 more times that night. I turned my phone off and went to see a movie. The next day things escalated. She showed up at my job, cornered me in the parking lot when I was heading to lunch. Brianna was there too, waiting in the car like she was her getaway driver. Natalie looked rough. Hair tied up in a messy bun, dark circles under her eyes, wearing the same oversized college sweatshirt she used to lounge around in years ago. "We need to talk," she said. "You asked for no contact," I reminded her as I kept walking. "That was about emotional stuff," she snapped. "This is about where we live." I stopped. "Where we live? You moved out, remember? You're living your authentic life with Brianna now." "That was temporary. I just needed some space to figure things out. I was always planning to come back." "You can't just. What did you do with our house?" "There is no our house," I told her. "You ended our relationship with a text. You moved out. You don't have a house." Her face drained of color. "What about my things? My furniture?" "You took your stuff with you." "What furniture? The couch I bought? The bed I bought? The TV I bought? Every time I paid for something, you chipped in $20 and called it ours." I didn't argue because I thought we were building a future together. But it wasn't ours, it was mine. You can't just kick me out, she said, her voice shaking. I have rights. I paid rent for 3 years. And in return you got to live in a nice house for 3 years. That agreement ended the moment you broke up with me and moved out. That's when Brianna got out of the car and started yelling. This is financial abuse. You're making her homeless. No, I said calmly. She made herself homeless when she chose to leave. I wasn't her landlord, I was her boyfriend. She ended that. She made her decision, and these are the consequences. I got in my car and drove off, but they followed me for about 3 blocks before finally giving up. That night, the chaos moved online. Natalie posted this long rant on social media about how I had been financially abusing her, claiming I used housing as a weapon against her. Her friends jumped in, filling the comments with outrage. One of them even dug up my LinkedIn and started messaging my coworkers, calling me every name you can think of. I didn't engage with any of it, but I did call up a lawyer buddy of mine. When I told him what was going on, he practically doubled over laughing. He said, "Man, she's got no case. She was basically a month-to-month tenant who willingly moved out. You're in the clear." Then my phone rang again. This time it was Natalie's mom. She and I had always been on good terms, so I answered. She started off gently. "Connor, sweetie, what's going on? Natalie is a mess. She says you're selling her home." I kept my tone calm and told her, "Mrs. Rodriguez, Natalie ended our relationship and left. I'm moving on with my life." She paused, confused, and asked, "But where is she supposed to live?" I told her plainly, "That's something she should have thought about before breaking up with me over a text message." There was a long silence. Then she asked, "She broke up with you over text?" I forwarded her the screenshot. After a quiet moment, she said, "I'll talk to her." Fast forward, update number 2. The entitlement hit a whole new level. The sale of the house went through smoothly. Money's in the bank, I'm in my new apartment. It's smaller, sure, but it feels like freedom. No ghosts of Natalie in every corner. But the week leading up to that? Wild. First, she tried tugging at heartstrings. Her sister Veronica messaged me with this long dramatic plea about how Natalie was healing from trauma and needed housing stability while she processed. I ignored it. Then the tough guy routine showed up. Brianna's boyfriend, Dominic, called me and started lecturing about how real men don't treat women this way, and I needed to make things right. I asked him flat out if he was threatening me. He backed down immediately. I recorded the whole thing just in case. But the craziest part? Natalie actually tried breaking into the house. I was there doing some last cleaning before closing, when I heard someone at the door. Suddenly, Natalie walks in with a locksmith. "What are you doing?" I asked. She said, "I live here. I lost my key, so I needed the locks changed." The locksmith froze. I pulled out my driver's license, which showed my new address, and the closing paperwork proving the house was sold. He looked at her and said, "Ma'am, I can't change locks on a property you don't own." She shot back, "I've lived here 3 years. Check the records." The locksmith shook his head. "That's not how ownership works," and started packing up. That's when Natalie exploded. She started yelling about how I stole her home, how she'd spent thousands in rent, how I was some manipulative villain. The locksmith bolted. I pulled out my phone and began recording. "Natalie, you're trespassing. This isn't your home anymore. You moved out. You ended things. It's done." She dropped to the floor and sat there like a child, insisting, "I'm not leaving." So I called the police. When the officers showed up, she tried convincing them she was a tenant. They asked for proof, lease, mail, anything, and she had nothing. All her mail had been going to Brianna's since she'd officially changed her address weeks ago. The cops escorted her out. She was crying, screaming, threatening to sue me, calling me every name she could think of. One of the officers, a woman, quietly told me, "You might want to think about getting a restraining order." Later that night, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. It was Brianna's mom. She wrote that she knew we didn't know each other, but Brianna couldn't keep supporting Natalie much longer, and she needed to find housing soon. Then she asked me if I could help Natalie with a deposit for a new place. The audacity was unbelievable. I didn't even bother replying. And just when I thought it couldn't get more ridiculous, Natalie launched a GoFundMe. She framed it as escaping financial abuse, spinning this fake narrative that I had locked her out of her home with no warning, that I'd gaslit her into believing the place was a rental, and now she was homeless thanks to my manipulation. People actually donated, about $300, before someone who knows me reported it, attaching her own social media posts about finding herself, that proved she voluntarily left. GoFundMe took the whole thing down. Then came update number 3. Natalie's dad called me. Mr. Rodriguez was always a straightforward, no-nonsense guy, so I answered. He started with, "Connor, I'm not calling to yell. I just want to understand what really happened." I ended up sending her dad everything I had, the breakup text, screenshots of her Instagram posts about finding herself, and the exact timeline showing when she moved out compared to when I listed the house. He stayed quiet for a while before finally saying, "She told us you kicked her out for another woman." I was floored. That was a complete lie. I told him, no. She broke up with me and left on her own. I'm not even seeing anyone. He sighed and apologized, saying, "Connor, I'm sorry. We thought we raised her better than this." He explained they'd offered to let her move back into their home, but she refused because, in her words, her childhood bedroom was toxic to her personal growth. Instead, she wanted them to fund an apartment for her. They told her no. Meanwhile, I was getting hammered online. My LinkedIn was flooded with troll accounts calling me an abuser. I eventually had to lock my profile. On top of that, 2 of her friends actually showed up at my new apartment building looking for me. Thankfully, security didn't let them upstairs. Then things escalated even further. Natalie suddenly claimed we were in a common-law marriage. She went as far as hiring a lawyer, who reached out to me about dividing assets and spousal support. I forwarded all of it to my lawyer buddy, who laughed so hard he almost choked on his coffee. Our state doesn't even recognize common-law marriage, and even if it did, we didn't meet a single requirement. We never filed taxes together, never had joint finances, never publicly presented ourselves as married. It was pure nonsense. My lawyer hit back with a cease and desist and warned that if she pushed further, we'd countersue for harassment. Her lawyer dropped her almost immediately. That's when she pulled what she thought was her trump card. A 2 a.m. text that read, "Connor, I'm pregnant. We need to talk about our future." The funny thing? I had a vasectomy 2 years ago. I never told her because the plan was to reverse it when we were actually ready for kids. But after her little self-discovery stunt, I was grateful I'd gone through with it. I replied, "Interesting considering I can't have kids. Sounds like a miracle from your side. Either way, not my problem." 3 days of silence followed before she finally admitted she wasn't pregnant and had just lied out of desperation. Even Brianna, her closest friend, had enough after that and kicked her out. Apparently, everyone has their limits. Fast forward 2 months since that original, "I need space" text. Here's the final update. Natalie ended up moving back in with her parents. From what I've heard, she's now working as a receptionist at her mom's dental office, and she hates it. Her Instagram, once full of dramatic personal journey posts, has gone completely dead. Her last post, about 6 weeks ago, was a quote on learning from life's challenges. The comments were brutal, and most of her friend group has drifted away. After the pregnancy stunt, even her most loyal friends bailed. Brianna actually reached out to apologize, saying she never knew about the house ownership situation and felt completely used by Natalie. I told her, "No hard feelings, but please don't contact me again." And here's the cherry on top. That $600 Natalie paid me each month for rent? I had saved every penny in a separate account, originally planning to use it for our wedding. Instead, I donated the entire amount to a local homeless shelter. I posted the donation receipt on Instagram with the caption, "Helping people who actually need housing support." Petty? Maybe. Satisfying? Absolutely. Life on my end is so much better now. My new place is closer to work, has great amenities, and carries none of the baggage of my old life. I've even started dating a woman I met at my gym. She's kind, straightforward, and sends me simple good morning texts instead of 3-page manifestos about self-discovery. Natalie did try to reach out one more time, sending me a long email about how she's grown and learned from her mistakes, how she hopes we can be friends, and how she's been struggling financially. I didn't bother replying. Instead, I forwarded the email to her dad with a note. Might want to talk to her about accountability. He wrote back, "We're working on it. Sorry again for everything, Connor." To answer the obvious question, do I feel guilty? Not even slightly. She wanted space. She got it. She wanted to figure out who she was outside of us. Well, she figured it out. She's manipulative, entitled, and thought she could manipulate her way back into comfort when things went south. Actions have consequences. She lost her home, her relationship, her reputation, and her future. All because of her own choices. The only person left to blame is the one staring back at her in the mirror during her so-called journey of self-discovery. As for me, that chapter's closed. New apartment, new start, new life, and honestly it feels pretty damn good. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them. And when they text that they need space, do yourself a favor. Give them all the space in the world.